Hi, my dear viewers. Welcome to my channel, Little Ladybug. Today, we are going to see the third lesson in comparative literature, that is on translation studies. So, I have already posted two lessons and that have wide views and comments. I hope that you will enjoy this lesson too and give your comments. Please share this lesson for the benefit of the student community. Today's world, translation is getting more and more popularity. So, what is the reason for it? First and foremost reason is that it contributes to the unity of nations, unity of society, unity of community. It also encourages mutual understanding, broad-mindedness, cultural dialogues, and intertextuality. So, for instance, more readers in India know about the works of Goethe, Tolstoy, Balzac, Shakespeare, Gorky, only through translations. So, it is through the intermediary of translator that we get access to other literature around the world. And here, translation study is a field of study that deals with theory, description, application of translation. As it examines translation both as an interlingual transfer and as an intercultural communication, translation studies can be described as an interdisciplinary. It touches on other diverse fields of knowledge such as comparative literature, cultural studies, gender studies, computer science, history, linguistics, philosophy, rhetoric, and semiotics. How translation studies helps in spreading the information and ideas. So translation is necessary for the spread of information and knowledge and ideas as I stated in the second slide itself. So it is necessary for effective and empathetic communication between different cultures, different nations, different people. Translation is critical for social harmony and peace. Translation is also the only medium through which people came to know different works that expand their knowledge. So, for example, Arabic translators were able to keep the ideas of ancient Greek philosophers alive throughout the Middle Ages. The Bible has been translated into more than 531 languages, and translation is helping out sports teams and organizations overcome language barriers and transcend international boundaries. So, what is the role of translation studies? It is effective, efficient, and empathetic translation requires highly skilled practitioners, translators. Courses in translation studies are a great way for linguists, language graduates, and translators to develop a deep understanding of the academic field and the skills to practice as a translation as a professional. Translation enables effective communication between people around the world. And translation is a courier for the transmission of knowledge. It is a protector of cultural heritage and essential to the development of global economy. Highly skilled translators are keys. Translation studies helps practitioners develop those best skills. So, comparative literature depends mainly on translation. Translation studies promote comparative literature. In India, there is a craze for translation in recent times for two reasons. First one is the writers or the critics want the literature to be translated in English and any other language because they want others to notice their literature and language. This is one of the reasons. Another reason is when the literature is translated, there is so much scope for comparing their literature with other literary text and its own text is the source language. So these are the two main reasons that the translators, the translation professionals keep on doing translation works. Translation studies as the principal discipline, with comparative literature as a valued subsidiary subject area. So the study of comparative literature explores this process of cross-cultural, cross-disciplinary translation, as well as the integral translation. While comparative literature encourages the study of texts in their original languages, most researchers and students of comparative literature rely upon translated texts for at least some portion of their scholarly inquiry. Hence, comparative literature examines translation as an interpretive act central to the history and practice of literary study. And one more main point is comparative literature and translation both humanize relationship between people and nations. As an intermediary between languages, thoughts, cultures, both contribute to the respect of difference and alterability that is necessary for the communication between nations, union between nations, between countries. They unite the self and the other in the truths, myths, foes, and weaknesses. From the historical perspective, comparative literature and translation have always been complementary to each other. With the help of translation, a normal person who usually knows 2 or 3 languages would never have known the universal masterpieces of Dante, Shakespeare, Borges, Kalidas, and Cervantes, etc. So we can say that both comparative literature and translation are interlinked. A layman can come closer to the major writers of different fields through translation. That is one point. Next point we can state, through the translation of literature from different languages around the world, one is able to understand others' philosophy, sociology, psychology, and above all, their culture too. Next point is that either translation or through comparison, the problems of particular areas people will be analyzed and solution found. With the help of translation, a text become able to get wider range of readers around the globe. So comparative literature is a discipline dedicated to the study of literature without any barriers. It has become valuable in today's world when the world has become global village. With the advancement of technology, people living in different countries with different languages come closer to each other. There is one international language, English, which is the common source of communication between people. But still, there is a problem in the study of literature, as literature is usually written in regional languages and languages of particular countries, such as France literature is in French, and literature of Russia is in Russian language. It is not compulsory that every comparativist will know all the languages. So there is a need of translation by which comparativists can read, understand those literary works which are not his or her own language. So with the help of translation, we become familiar with customs, dress code, culture of other countries, and we feel a kind of oneness, unity, without any barriers or hindrance. So translation helped in that one. So the text must be translated by someone else who knows language, and the comparators can use the translated text to solve his or her purpose. So these points I have discussed earlier in the previous slide itself. We will move on to the next slide. So here, I think this is the last slide of this presentation. Comparative literature is a tree and translation is a branch of that wide tree. So Comparative literature is a tree where the translation plays a great role in comparative literature. Comparative study of literatures from different languages, cultures, socio-cultural backgrounds is not possible. Translation occupies a special place in comparative literature. In the age of globalization, comparative literature is a subject. It is getting more and more popularity. So translation is the most important branch of comparative literature, that is a tree. So if students of literature, if you want to do any research, you can do it in translation studies in the tree that is called comparative literature. I hope that you understand this third lesson in comparative literature, that is translation studies. Thank you for watching Lit Ladybug. I will meet you in the next lesson. Please share and like my video. Thank you.